The Civil War ended about a month ago, but have all American citizens truly come under one agreement of opinion about the topics that they sacrificed their lives for? The Civil War ended about a month ago, spanning over the last 4 years. It was fought over state and federal government rights, the blurred lines angering citizens, especially the South. It was also fought over America's biggest moral issue, slavery. Tonight, we will jump into the minds of not only Union and Confederate soldiers, but also those people that did not want this war to ever happen and just wanted peace to come to America again. I'm Anna Sekulic, and this is the Sekulic Way. Like previously said, the war spanned for 4 years, from 1861 to 1865. It started when South Carolina left the Union on December 20th, 1860. Over the next 6 months, 10 other states would follow and form the Confederacy. Their goal was to protect their states' rights like the freedom to own slaves. At 8:43 a.m. on April 20th, 1861, Confederate troops shot the first shot, starting the Civil War. Most major battles happened right here along the East Coast in both the Union and Confederate lands. Now we know who won, but at what cost? How many American lives were lost? How many homes were destroyed? How long will it take till the economy is back to normal? How long till the food crisis is over? And finally, how long will it be till everyone's opinions are under one? Here tonight I have with me expert Benjamin Zink to talk a little more on the topic. Ben, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Anna.
So, what are a few things that you could tell the viewers at home that they just might not know about the war?
Well, one thing I could tell you is that the Confederacy had a much higher chance of victory at the start, but only at the start. They were winning battles like the Battle of Aiken and the Battle of Anthony's Hill. However, the Union really turned it around at the Battle of Gettysburg. And after the Battle of Gettysburg, you could just tell that the Union was going to win because they had more money, which led to more technology, more medicine, and just more advantages than the Confederacy had. The Union overpowered.
So I have to know, Ben, during the war, there weren't many recordings like this. So were viewers really getting an accurate view on what was going on the battlefield through the newspapers?
Well, Anna, it really depended on where they lived. If they lived in, like, the Confederacy areas, then they would be reading only Confederate victories, and then vice versa in the Union. One of the only papers, really, that stayed true to their words were the New York Times. And even though they had some bias at some points, they were pretty true most of the time. They were also very accurate with the number of casualties being around 7,500,000.
Unfortunately, Ben, we are out of time. Thank you for coming on and giving us a little more background on the topic of this war.
Thanks for having me, Anna.
Now, we have Bob on the scene in Virginia next to Beatrice Harold's house, who we will shortly interview after his appearance. Bob?
Hey Anna, I'm here in Virginia on a plot of land next to Beatrice Harold and her family's home. As you can see behind me, that is their home. There's a barn, and they were having a calm afternoon when the Battle of Lewis's Farm broke out right next to their house. Gunshots ringing through that window there. If you direct the camera this way, you can actually see some of the trenches that were naturally made that the Union or Confederate soldiers, we're not sure which ones yet, used to hide from enemy arms. Now, like I said, gunshots ran through Beatrice's home, not only hurting their valuables, but hurting herself, her children, and actually killing one of their oldest children, John Harold. And honestly, Anna, it's sad to see this. As a country as a whole, we thought that we were past the chapter of infighting, but we have now taken a step back. Homes during this time were not only shot through and destroyed, but also used as hospitals. They were ransacked, and just people were being made to do things that they did not ask for because most people did not want this war. Hopefully, though, we will never have to see this again in our country's history books.
Thanks, Bob. Today, I have with me Beatrice Harold to tell us a little more about her story. First off, Beatrice, I am sorry for your loss.
Thank you for your sympathy, Anna.
I talked to you a little bit before this interview, and I realized that you really don't have a side for this Civil War. Do you want to let me know why is that?
My husband went to fight at the beginning of the war with the Union Army, and after I heard word of him being put to rest at the Battle of Gettysburg, I decided the fact that there really is no point of this war.
America could have solved the issue of slavery and anything else through a couple of conversations instead of taking their guns off their walls and shooting the people that are of the same blood.
Do you feel bad for African Americans? Do you feel guilty for not choosing sides even though people were enslaved during this time?
The Union wanted to free all the slaves because they felt bad, but that would then affect the Confederacy's economics because they would have no workers and that was their main system. The Confederacy, of course, wanted to keep the slaves because those were all their workers and that's how they earned their money. But the Union would feel guilty because they would think that it's morally wrong. Both sides have opinions, but none of them truly matter because the war started for absolutely no reason.
I am sorry about your loss. I hope that your family and you soon get back up on your feet. Many families across America are experiencing the same feelings as Beatrice Harold. During the war, homes were destroyed, families were ripped apart, and the food shortage, which was in crisis then, is still in crisis now. A drought in 1862 and bad weather accommodating with the warfare all destroyed crops, and some farmlands are now impossible to grow on. American farmers were also leaving their posts to fight, and their slaves fleeing to the north did not harvest any crops that could have been eaten. Now we are going to go back to Bob, who somehow is already in Georgia.
Hey Anna, so I'm here at some farmland down in Georgia, and if you direct the camera this way, you can see acres on top of acres of farmland and only a couple of trees out there, bringing absolutely no shade. It is super hot, and this is the place of a very wealthy slave owner who used to own millions of slaves, and they would be out here from sunup till sundown in this hot, humid heat. Now, in 1862, there was a humongous drought throughout the whole country that dried up all the farmland, and you should be seeing a picture on the screen right now about it. But if you come down here with me with the camera, this is still rock hard. It is absolutely horrible what it is out here. This land is almost impossible to grow crops on now because of the bad weather we've been having these past couple of years, on top of all the warfare that's been destroying crops. Now, the experts estimate that it's going to take till 1875 to not only restore this land, all the food, because of the food shortage we have currently, but also the rest of America, like homes destroyed, vehicles gone, the economy going and crashing, and much more. Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Bob. Today I am here with two men now who have fought in the war as soldiers, Joseph Gibson and James Toronto. One fought as a Union soldier and the other was Confederacy. Joseph, I read here that you are a Confederate soldier. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I fought with my heart and my soul to save my home state of Georgia's rights and to keep what I paid for.
And James, you were a Union soldier. What was your reason for choosing the Union side over the Confederate one? Well, Anna, I wanted to make sure that I freed people who were forced away to slavery. African Americans are still human beings, and they have no reason to be held captive and to be treated less than us. How about you, Joseph? What's your reasoning for going into America's bloodiest war?
Like I just said, I wanted to keep my rights. The United States government couldn't make these decisions for a state. My family was rich. We had farmland and hundreds of workers until the Union decided to mess it all up. The South has always had the harder time. We had to work for everything that the Northerners were just given. This young man here was probably handed everything if you look at how he's dressed. The South's economy has crashed. It's the Union's fault.
How do you feel about what Joseph just said, James? Sir, I feel that you have to realize the fact that the South is not the only place in America that has its economy crashing. It's not our fault either that...
But that's your fault, isn't it?
No.
When you think about it, you guys are to blame. We are supplying plenty of food and workers until you decided to mess it all up and take our workforce away from us.
How can you still call other human beings your property? They aren't animals. African Americans are as equal as us. And anyways, what kind of farmer doesn't plant their own crops? I thought you guys were supposed to be doing the work.
Okay,
James,
and then
we are out of
treat
time.
them
Thank you for coming on and telling your
rich folks up
sides
there
of the
are just as
stories.
bad on.
From what just happened there, it seems that the nation is not truly under one oath yet.
It will take years for everyone to understand that, like our Constitution states, we are all equal under America. I want to talk about the ideologies and beliefs between Joseph and James, because we saw that many were there just in that one interview that barely lasted a minute. However, we have to mention the slaves' ideologies as well. So the slaves were asking God why would they let all this torment happen under his allowance, while the Confederate soldiers thought God loves slavery and he's okay with it, and he's with the Confederacy. And then finally, we have the Union, who thought that it was not fair for slaves to be enslaved when they were just normal people like anyone else and they had equal rights under the Constitution. Now, some of the short-term effects as seen with Beatrice just now is the homes destroyed. And then we also still have the food crisis, inflation rising, and the economy being completely trashed by now. However, the long-term effect of men dying on the battlefield and losing their lives will never be changed. After all the fighting, I think America can come to one agreement, even with all their opinions. We should mourn our fallen heroes. That is why the U.S. government decided that on May 30th, we will honor our fallen heroes with a new holiday called Memorial Day. We will make sure that these heroes are never forgotten. No matter what opinion you have about the war, let's all get together for this first Memorial Day ever and remember our fallen heroes. I'm Anna Sekulic on JJ News, and this is The Sekulic Way.